This presentation was given by Linda Beresford, a resident of University City and a volunteer with HelpSaveUC. The presentation was given at the May 17, 2022 subcommittee hearing on the University Community Plan Update. The last full Community Plan Update was in 1987. That plan included clear goals to protect existing single-family neighborhoods. This subcommittee has been working for about 3.5 years on this Community Plan Update. Unfortunately, when the city released proposed land use scenarios in February 2022, it included the proposal to upzone about 43 streets in South UC that are currently single-family residential. Following these proposals, several subcommittee members stated that they felt that 3.5 years of work had been completely disregarded by the city's approach. In response to the city's proposals, almost 2,400 people signed a petition asking the city to remove the rezoning of single-family residential homes to townhouses and to hold an in-person meeting so that people could more fully understand the scope of the rest of the proposals in the Community Plan Update. As a result of this petition and other significant community feedback, the city removed the upzoning proposal for South UC. We appreciate the city listening to the community and removing the proposed rezoning of single-family residential homes, and we appreciate the city conducting a meeting. However, we still have concerns about the full scope of the proposed plan update, as we believe the city is moving forward based on incorrect data and assumptions. The city conducted a community survey on the plan update in October 2021. And while the city's October 2021 media release recognized that gathering public input is crucial to this process, this survey did not collect this critical public input. The survey was not well circulated among residents, was highly confusing, and only 31.8% of people who started the survey completed it. Note, the data presented here differs from the city's February 2022 presentation. The data presented here is from the raw data itself provided to us by the city. Surveys should aim for a 50 to 80% completion rate. Did the city ever consider why this survey had such a poor completion rate? Well, we think the reasons are probably pretty clear. The survey was too complex and confusing, and the limited choices available did not allow people to express their true opinions. In light of the low completion rate, the city cannot say that these results reflect true community input, nor that these results show that the community supports certain land use scenarios. In addition to relying on faulty survey data, the city's proposed land use scenarios significantly overestimate the housing needs in University City. The city proposes to add 35,000 to 56,000 housing units to UC. This is an increase of 130 to 210%. But Sandag projects population growth for the next 50 years in UC is 2.3%, and its projected housing growth is 2%. And Sandag's Regional Housing Needs Assessment finds that only 108,000 housing units are needed in all of San Diego in the next 8 years. Furthermore, the city's own grant application to fund this exact plan update indicated the need to add only 10,000 to 30,000 housing units to this area. While not all sites that are identified for development will develop housing, the current proposed land use scenarios are a vast and unnecessary overreach. The data do not support the overwhelming growth proposed by the city. Another data point which the city is misapplying is the jobs to housing ratio. In support of its land use scenarios, the city asserts that it needs to increase housing to better achieve a 1-to-1 jobs to housing ratio. But this ratio is improperly applied to the UC area. This ratio is generally applied to larger areas such as cities, economic regions, commuter sheds, or areas served by public transportation. The UC community is much too small of an area to apply this ratio. What is the point of the billion-dollar trolley expansion if we don't consider those areas served as part of this analysis? When considering land use scenarios for areas in South UC, such as Vaughn's, Sprouts, and the East End of Governor, the city must realize that South UC is not a transit priority area. A TPA must have a major transit stop, which includes an intersection of 2 buses that run every 15 minutes during the morning and afternoon commute. No intersection in South UC meets this criteria. As shown by the chart, even if you discount the average 10 minutes of walking time to the intersection of Governor and Genesee, The travel times on public transit are well beyond drive times. Will professionals want to spend 1 to 2 more hours each day commuting on public transportation rather than driving? There is no evidence that people will use public transportation as hoped by the city, and more cars will only increase traffic and greenhouse gas, or GHG, emissions. Lastly, the proposed plan seeks to add more than 100,000 residents, but adds insufficient parks, open space, or libraries. We have beautiful canyons, but the plant and wildlife will suffer if twice as many people start using that space. And while we recently added a pool, that actually increased the community's problem with insufficient playing field space. There isn't enough space to accommodate the neighborhood kids and sports leagues now. Doubling that number without adding more fields will only increase this problem. After reviewing all of the information on which the city has based proposed land use scenarios, we can only conclude that the assumptions on which the city has based these proposals are flawed, and the city must rethink its entire approach. Again, we thank the city for hearing the community and removing the proposal to rezone the single-family residential streets in South UC, and it should do the same for the single-family residential neighborhood in North UC. We ask the city rethink its approach, given that first, the survey data is highly flawed and cannot be relied upon to justify the land use proposals. Second, the population projections and the city's own housing numbers don't justify the extreme proposed density in both South and North UC. Third, reliance on the 1-to-1 jobs to housing ratio is improperly applied to such a small area. Fourth, public transportation does not support proposed density in South UC. And fifth, the plan provides insufficient public spaces, resulting in a loss of wildlife and limited space for children to play. Last, we ask that any project include parking and also preserve services such as grocery stores, pharmacies, medical services, libraries, and cherished neighborhood businesses. Loss of these services will only lead to more driving, traffic, and GHG emissions. In light of these deficiencies, we ask that the city rethink its approach to its proposed land use scenarios and adjust its proposals accordingly. Thank you for your time. This presentation will be posted later tonight or tomorrow at www.helpsaveuc.org. You can go there to see the presentation and join the mailing list.